Age gap romances on TV hit differently. Messy, emotional, sometimes uncomfortable, but always revealing. Today, we're counting down 5 unforgettable older woman, younger man series. Number 5, The Idea of You, 2024. Directed by Michael Showalter, released 2024. Coming in at number 5 is The Idea of You. While it's officially a film, its emotional structure, character focus, and slow burn pacing feel like something made for episodic storytelling, which is why it fits comfortably on a TV-centered list like this. At its heart, this story isn't really about an age gap. It's about self-permission. The main character isn't chasing youth or rebelling against time. She's standing at a point in life where she's already done what was expected of her, and now she's quietly asking a dangerous question. What if I choose myself this time? The younger man in the story isn't portrayed as naive or reckless. Instead, he's confident, emotionally present, and unexpectedly grounding. That contrast is important because it shifts the usual power narrative. The tension doesn't come from manipulation, it comes from perception, from how the outside world reacts when a woman steps outside the role assigned to her. What really makes The Idea of You resonate is how it captures modern pressure. Social media, public opinion, and invisible judgment hang over every interaction. Love isn't just private anymore. It's exposed, debated, and dissected. And that constant surveillance adds weight to even the most intimate moments. From a personal perspective, this story feels honest because it doesn't rush toward fantasy. It lets hesitation exist, it lets fear speak. It acknowledges that wanting happiness doesn't automatically silence insecurity. And that emotional realism is what makes the relationship feel earned rather than sensational. No. 4, Cougar Town, 2009-2015. Created by Bill Lawrence, premiered 2009. At number 4, Cougar Town reminds us that age gap relationships don't always need dramatic music and moral debates. Sometimes they can just be life. When this show first started, it leaned heavily into its title for laughs. Dating younger men was framed as a joke, almost a gimmick. But as the seasons progressed, something interesting happened. The show grew up. It softened. It found its emotional footing. Dating younger men became just one aspect of a much bigger story about friendship, healing, and reinvention after divorce. The characters weren't defined by who they dated, but by how they supported each other through life's transitions. What makes Cougar Town special is how casual it is about female desire. There's no shame attached. No grand justification required. The main character dates, makes mistakes, laughs at herself, and keeps moving forward. And that normalcy is powerful. From a viewer standpoint, the show feels comforting. It doesn't demand emotional labor. It simply says, life doesn't end after a certain age, and romance doesn't either. And sometimes that message delivered with humor can be just as impactful as a heavy drama. No. 3, A Teacher, T20. Created and directed by Hannah Fidel, released 2020. Now we arrive at the most challenging entry on this list. A Teacher is not here to make you feel good. It's here to make you think and possibly sit in discomfort long after the episode ends. This series examines an inappropriate relationship between an older woman and a younger man, and it does so without shortcuts or excuses. What sets A Teacher apart is its restraint. There's no dramatic soundtrack pushing you towards sympathy. No romantic framing trying to blur the reality. Instead, the story unfolds slowly, allowing viewers to see how seemingly small choices ripple into long-term consequences. One of the most effective elements of the show is perspective. While the older woman's emotions are shown, the series gradually shifts its focus toward the younger character's internal world. His confusion, silence, and delayed processing become central, and that choice is intentional. This isn't a story about forbidden love. It's a story about power imbalance, responsibility, and how harm doesn't always look dramatic in the moment it's happening. Sometimes it looks quiet. Sometimes it looks mutual. And that's what makes it dangerous. Watching A Teacher feels less like watching fiction and more like observing a case study. It challenges viewers to confront uncomfortable truths, especially in situations where society might be tempted to downplay seriousness because of gender expectations. It's not an easy recommendation, but it's an important one. Number 2, Mrs. Fletcher. Created by Tom Perrotta, premiered 2019. At number 2, Mrs. Fletcher delivers one of the most intimate and emotionally grounded portrayals of later life self-discovery on television. This series doesn't begin with romance, it begins with absence. A son leaving for college, a house suddenly too quiet. A woman realizing that her identity has been built almost entirely around other people's needs. What follows isn't a dramatic reinvention montage. It's slow, subtle, and deeply personal. Desire reemerges not as rebellion, but as curiosity. The relationships with younger men aren't framed as trophies or escapes. They're part of a wider process of rediscovering selfhood. What makes Mrs. Fletcher feel so real is its awkwardness. Conversations don't always land. Experiences aren't always fulfilling. Sometimes curiosity leads to disappointment, and sometimes it leads to growth. That unpredictability mirrors real life. The show also deserves credit for how gently it handles female desire. There's no judgment in the storytelling, no rush to label choices as right or wrong. Instead, the series allows its main character to explore, reflect, and recalibrate. From a personal standpoint, this show feels brave in its quietness. It doesn't shout its message, it whispers it, and trusts the audience to listen. That restraint makes Mrs. Fletcher one of the most emotionally honest entries on this list. Number 1. Younger, 2015-2021. Created by Darren Star, premiered 2015. Taking the number 1 spot is Younger, a series that understands age not as a number, but as a social currency. From the very beginning, Younger plays with perception. How old you look, how old you act, and how old people think you are all become tools that shape opportunity. The show uses its central premise not just for comedy, but as a lens to explore identity and ambition. The romance between an older woman and a younger man unfolds naturally. It's not treated as shocking or taboo, it's treated as complicated, which is exactly how real relationships are. Emotional maturity doesn't always align with age, and Younger leans into that truth. What really elevates this series is balance. It knows when to be playful and when to be sincere. It explores career pressure, friendship, motherhood, and reinvention alongside romance, making the love story feel like part of a full life rather than the center of it. As the seasons progress, the show evolves. Characters grow, priorities shift, and relationships are tested, not because of age alone, but because of timing and honesty. That layered approach is what keeps the series engaging over multiple seasons. From a viewer's perspective, Younger is binge-worthy without being shallow. It entertains while still offering something to think about. And more importantly, it respects its audience enough not to reduce age gap romance to a gimmick. That's why it earns the top spot. These series prove age gap romances aren't one note. They can be funny, painful, empowering, or cautionary. Which one's your favorite? Like, subscribe, and let's talk in the comments.